The government is also breaking down the distinctions between the roles of barristers and solicitors. It's a move which David Wolfe welcomes. He sits on the Legal Services Commission, the body that holds the legal aid purse strings.
What they will say is, here is a chunk of money to represent this client, and we don't much care whether you're a barrister or a solicitor or how you organise yourselves internally. And I think the market will respond to that by solicitors' firms increasingly bringing barristers in-house or setting up hybrid organisations where barristers and solicitors work together. The sort of bright light that's been shone on the medical profession or other professions in the past has really only recently started to look at the bar, and that's it's a good thing.
But it is centuries of history and tradition that are drawing huge crowds to the open day.
Okay there, folks? Interesting? Good, good, I'm pleased.
Middle Temple porter John Morrissey is proud of their heritage.
Well, Shakespeare first performed Twelfth Night on 2nd of February 1602 in here. Well, the story of the coats of arms that are up in the windows there, we've got Sir Walter Raleigh, and next to him is John Popham. Now, as you probably know, Sir Walter Raleigh ended up in a nice 2 up, 2 down up the road here, called the Tower of London, and eventually they decided to dispense with his head. Well, the man who ordered the execution there was John Popham, and there they are 460 years later, and they can't get away from each other. We've got the Drake's Cupboard, which is from the Golden Hind, so yeah, it's a very famous place.
One of the biggest attractions is Temple Church, built 900 years ago by the Knights Templar, the original Crusaders, whose effigies survive in the church today.
You know, what's really interesting about the Templars is actually, as a Muslim, actually, our perspective on it is completely naturally different. So if you go to Parliament, if you go to Westminster Palace, you'll see these huge murals of the Crusaders setting off to the Holy Land. They're carrying swords and all this kind of stuff. And it's saying that they're going off to war with the Saracens and stuff like this. That's the inscriptions that are written underneath. From our point of view, they were invaders, fanatical, bloodthirsty, fundamentalist invaders that were coming along to basically kill, Muslims that live there. But it's a really interesting, it's a completely different take from the Western historical perspective compared to the Muslim historical perspective. Because when I first came here to dine, some of my friends were like, what, the Templar Knights? Like, the Templar Knights. I was like, yeah, it's kind of descended from that. And they were like, oh my God, how can you do that? How can they even let you in if you're not a Christian? And I was like, oh, it's a bit different now.
On the steps. Did you find it interesting? Down the lane, Marv, 5th door, right-hand side. Take care, fellas.
It is good that they carry on a tradition that's been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. It is good that as a society we can trace our past like that, and we do uphold these things, but at the same time I think the wigs are a bit silly.
The ivory towers with the wigs is an impression I accept some people have, but equally I don't think it's an entirely right one, and I think that what we're doing will hopefully just change that a bit. We're never going to change everyone's perception overnight, but this is all part and parcel of gradually showing everyone what the position is, and they can then form their own view.
I think a lot of people have preconceptions. They read Charles Dickens and they see the journalists and the people coming out of High Court, and that's it. So this is wonderful to open the doors to everybody, be it a child of 9 or an old age pensioner, and everybody could ask questions. Anywhere I've been today, I could ask questions and somebody gave me an answer. Fantastic.
The day is approaching when Iqbal will start work as a barrister.
This is St Philip's here. This is the chambers that I'll be starting at in October. Every time I walk past it, I do get sort of goosebumps. I really can't wait to start pupillage, to start doing something I really care about.
But today he's in Birmingham for a case of his own.
Basically, I've got a 20-minute hearing in front of a county court judge, and I almost had an epiphany over the weekend. I really think I can win this case. I think the law's on my side, I think the facts are on my side, and I think there's a very high chance of me going in there persuading this judge. It's quite a nice court, actually. It's the first time I've ever had to argue a case in court, so I've never been here before. It's a relatively simple case. Basically, I cancelled my contract after Orange overbilled me, but Orange are saying that they didn't overbill me. That was the bill that I should have paid, and then they entered a credit reference against me. So for me, I have to go in there and show that actually they did overbill me, and the credit reference is wrong, and it has to be removed. And that's basically what it hangs on to, those two issues. And I think if you want to change anything, you know, the best way to do it is to stand up for your rights. If you let them take your money, then there's no incentive for them to improve, is there?
Iqbal will not be fighting this case as a barrister, but as a member of the public.
You know, I'm not arguing for somebody else, I'm arguing for myself. I have to say, what I thought, you know, so it's a bit different to saying, you know, what the claimant thought or what the defendant thought or something. Yeah.
At Woolwich Crown Court, the jury has retired to consider its verdict.
We have delivered our closing speeches, the judge has summed up, and now the jury are going to spend the next couple of hours deliberating, or less time if they're quite sure of what they've heard and they've decided whether the defendant's guilty or not guilty. I'm feeling quite tense, very nervous, and my client was very happy with the speech that was delivered. Everything he wanted was covered, so I'm glad to that extent, but he's obviously very tense, and he's got, you know, a young family, and if he's convicted, then today, you know, he'll go to prison. So there's a lot at stake, and I'm certainly feeling the pressure of it. And I'm not sure which way it will go, so I'm a little bit worried. But then I think the trial has gone well, so I'm positive. I just hope that the jury, through my speech, will keep that in their mind when they're considering whether my client's guilty or not.
The Law Lords have reached a decision on Lillian's appeal.
We have this sort of odd situation where all the lawyers involved know what the result of the case is, and nobody else does because it's embargoed up till literally 9:45, or till the judgment's given. So Lillian is coming along ignorant of what the result is, which I think is, you know, perhaps unfortunate, but that's the rules that are imposed upon us.
You know, whatever happens, it's a great day, you know, to have got this far, and you know, I don't think they behead the losers, so we might be okay.
We come through together, up to the top of the step, bow, sit down. Okay, they'll go through the judgment. Once the judgment is complete, and it only takes a couple of minutes, it's a very brief judgment, we will cue you. Once the clerk turns and nods, that's a sign that the case is finished. We'll say, "Thank you, counsel." You then together stand, bow, turn. Literally, the two doors will be open for you. As you go out, we literally call the next case, and as you just sort of part to get past, the next two will come in.
And I think personally that we could have a system that was less covered with ceremony and so on, and more concerned on focusing on the public awareness and appreciation of the underlying process. Because I don't think this process feels very accessible and open to people. But it's changing. We're going to have a Supreme Court in due course, and with any luck that'll bring a more open process.
The Supreme Court will take over the judicial functions of the House of Lords next year. But today, David and Lillian must wait in the Peers lobby for their judgment.
I won! I got a judgment for £271.32. Fantastic. And this is the first of many victories against big companies for me. Hopefully the first one on behalf of my good self, but definitely on behalf of clients. And it's quite nice to have sort of Orange, you know. I went to court once, who did you sue? You know, not some bloody corner shop. This is Orange, one of the biggest mobile phone operators in the world. I sued them for £271, which is brilliant. And what the great thing is that when they submit their company report at the end of the year, they have to say all of the money that they lost in litigation. This will be up there, you know. Iqbal Mohammed against Orange, £271. Brilliant.